I'm Jada Franton and this is my election week roundup. So the Tories have had a huge victory, their best performance since Margaret Thatcher in 1987, and none of the ex-Tory candidates were able to win their seats as independents. By contrast to the Conservative success, the Labour Party has suffered the worst result that they've had since the 1930s. Labour have lost a ton of heartland seats, including one that they held since 1922. But perhaps the most shocking news of all is that Jo Swinson didn't make it as Prime Minister. No, not only did she not make it as Prime Minister, but she also lost her seat and has now quit as the leader of the Liberal Democrats. I guess that's what you get for saying that you'd completely ignore a referendum result and that you plan to cancel democracy in the UK. Didn't really pan out very well. Nicola Sturgeon certainly wasn't sad to see Jo Swinson lose her seat. And as could be expected, the SNP had a great night, which has just reinforced to them that they should hold yet another independence referendum for Scotland and completely destroy our union. On the subject of the union, though, it really was Northern Ireland that suffered the most in this general election. We saw clear evidence of a pan-nationalist front that was able to deliver horrific blows to the Democratic Unionist Party. Several pacts were made in this pan-nationalist alliance, and the SDLP agreed not to stand a candidate in North Belfast, which left Sinn Féin's John Finucane to stand against Nigel Dodds, who held the seat for the DUP. Well, the Unionists lost the seat. It now is in the hands of Sinn Féin. Similarly, in South Belfast, Sinn Féin agreed not to stand a candidate, and the SDLP did. That has led to the SDLP winning that seat over the DUP's Emma Little-Pengelly. These are horrific blows for unionism in Northern Ireland at a time when the union is threatened by the very Prime Minister who has just had a landslide victory. Unfortunately, during this general election, unionists have not all been united. And so what has happened in North Down is that rather than the UUP stepping aside for Alex Easton of the DUP to secure a unionist seat, they split the vote. And the result of that is that North Down now has an Alliance Party MP. Yep, this part of Northern Ireland, which is inherently unionist, now has an MP who is pro-abortion, pro-gay marriage, anti-Brexit, and this is all as a result of a pan-nationalist front. And the UUP insisting that they were going to stand a candidate, not stepping aside for the DUP and splitting the unionist vote. At a time when the union is in such a delicate state, the UUP have just lost that seat for unionists. So there we have it. Boris is still Prime Minister, as I expected, and Jeremy Corbyn has said that he will not lead the Labour Party in any future general elections. Some people might be happy about that, see that as a silver lining. Personally, I'm actually not that glad to see Corbyn go. I despise the man and everything he stands for. He is a Marxist. But I kind of like the fact that he is so far left. He is so extreme. He is such a radical communist that he's polarised the country. There's no way to mistake your political opponent in this country at the moment because Corbyn is so extreme. I worry that he's going to be replaced with someone who's a bit more wishy-washy. Labour are never going to get back to being the party for the working man. That's never going to happen. They are extreme left. But even they couldn't throw their weight behind Corbyn. I mean, the guy is an absolute lunatic and a friend of terrorists. Need I say any more? So, mixed feelings about his departure, really. Boris Johnson's now able to get on with what he's been promising all along, and that's delivering Brexit. Incidentally, the Brexit Party didn't win any seats, but there's no surprise there. Unfortunately, Nigel Farage seemed to lose his nerve very early on in the general election process. And when he confirmed that he wouldn't stand any Brexit Party candidates against Conservatives contesting seats, he pretty much sealed the fate of the Brexit Party. They were doomed. No pressure was being put on Boris. What was the point? Anyway, Boris is going to get on with Brexit, but it's Brexit in name only. This isn't Brexit. There are far too many concessions to the EU, and here is the greatest betrayal of all. Boris is about to slap a border through the Irish Sea, which will effectively destroy the union with Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So, How do I even sum this general election up? I'd have to say, I think the words I'd use are probably bittersweet. Look, none of us wanted to see Corbyn get into power. Boris Johnson is still our Prime Minister. He is definitely the lesser of two evils, but that's as far as I go on that matter. See, at the beginning of the campaign, I was willing to throw my weight behind Boris Johnson, although I didn't hold up much hope because he is a spineless Tory, right? And Tories are liars and they don't deliver. And really, he's not delivering Brexit. He's just delivering a diluted form of Brexit that Leavers are so desperate to cling on to because, you know, we've waited over 3 years for our Brexit. And so instead of people sticking to their guns and saying, no, this isn't Brexit, we want hard Brexit. That's what we were asked. Do you want in or do you want out? And we said out, not with conditions and terms. But everybody now is so sick of it that most Leavers are actually happy to go along with Boris's crappy deal. It's not just crappy, it's an ultimate betrayal to Northern Ireland. And I know there are a lot of people on the mainland who might think, oh, well, just because she's living over there, suddenly she cares. But this isn't an issue of whether you live there or not. You can't call yourself a British patriot if you don't care about the fact that Boris is putting a hard border through the Irish Sea. He is jeopardising the union between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. After the sacrifices made by the men of Ulster for this union, Boris is now disregarding all of that. It's the ultimate betrayal. So tough times ahead for Northern Ireland, without a doubt. And whilst the mainland would probably see this as a great victory and a way to get Brexit through, I think we need to consider the fact that we are part of a union. It's not a one-way street. There are more than one party involved in this. And I hope that unionists in every single part of the UK remember how important this relationship is. Remember how important our precious union really is. We've just elected Boris Johnson as our Prime Minister. Let's hold him to account. Why shouldn't we get the Brexit that we deserve? The no-deal Brexit, the hard Brexit, whatever you want to call it. The Brexit that we voted for, out of the European Union. That's it. But more importantly, I am appealing to unionists from every single part of the UK. I know that there is a feeling of complete and utter deflation after the results that came through yesterday. But do not be disheartened. Our union needs protecting. There literally isn't any time to wallow or despair. We have to be the strong British loyalist patriots that we have always and will always be, and do everything in our power to defend our union.